I actually got to play producer a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guest. You know, you hear him regularly every week with Fighting Irish Preview. If you follow him, you might be able to catch a video of him in video. I know he does last word before kickoff, does previews. He writes stories. He's all over Notre Dame. And if you're a Notre Dame fan and you're not following this guy, what the hell are you doing? Let's go ahead and bring him on. It is the Judge, Phil. How, Judge? Looking good. How are you?
Well, thanks very much, Brett. And I'm a little microphone challenged here, unfortunately, tonight. Had a little catastrophe. I hope sound okay, Adam? All right, we're good to go. It just seems like we ended the Notre Dame football season because it did go until like the end of January, and then we were all trying to catch our breath. And about 2 months later, then we're already into spring practice, and got a breather for a couple of weeks. I married off one of my kids, had a couple other wild things going on this summer, and but I've been down to Notre Dame practice a couple of times and following all the news, and the team could be really good this year.
Well, I know there's lofty expectations, as pretty much always at Notre Dame. I mean, the bar is set very high, and the expectations have been very high under Marcus Freeman. One of the big questions, as has been the last couple of years, is quarterback. So we will get into that. I do have to ask you real quick, though. I know that you occasionally will take a road trip with the Irish. I'm just wondering, for the season opener, are you going on the road trip this year?
Fighting Irish Preview will be well represented at that game, but I'm not going to be representing them. I've got another new reporter that's been worked for me in the spring, and then he's going to be down there. And we'll also
I could have been asked, Judge. I don't even need a hotel room.
Good point. Good point. I should have thought of that, and we'll also have our photographer there. We'll have great coverage. I won't personally be at that game, but what an atmosphere that will be. Hard Rock Stadium. Miami fans have never forgotten the rivalry. It's never simmered at all for them, and it has a little bit for Notre Dame because Miami's had some down programs. Well, they're pretty good this year, and they are lying in wait for that. And that's 3 weeks from right now. 3 weeks from this moment, that game will be being played.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one down in the Sunshine State. And by the way, if you haven't been to the Miami area, Hard Rock is kind of to the northwest of downtown Miami, which actually puts it on the right side of town for where the house is down there. So, you know,
it's really in the middle
of Miami again. Like in 11 years, maybe I'll have to put myself on the list.
Brett, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Miami Gardens, right?
You got the Guitar Hotel about.
Yeah, you go back past the Hard Rock getting there. I made that trip a couple of times not that long ago for the Orange Bowl, and I've been in that stadium a couple of times. A great stadium, but it's kind of like I said, it's off in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so, it kind of is because
access isn't real easy.
The only way to get there is you just jump on the turnpike and you take the exit, and it drives you almost right into the parking lot. But anyway, that will be the Irish opener. But Judge, I know I spoke to you earlier, and you left me in suspense. You told me that you had some updates on the battle for the starting quarterback position at Notre Dame. Let's hear it. Let's get the latest. What's going on in South Bend as far as quarterback goes?
Well, everybody knows that the battle, as it was announced at the end of spring or during the spring, was going to be between Kenny Minchey and C.J. Carr. Odds-on favorite, everybody in the media, we've all said, well, it's most likely going to be C.J. Carr.
I made that assumption.
Yeah, there's just so much upside there. But the word right now is it's a true, honest-to-goodness battle between C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey. It is not a foregone conclusion that C.J. Carr is going to be your first-day starter. In fact, my suspicion is, and we have a little bit of info that would confirm it, that Notre Dame really wanted to have this thing decided by today, by yesterday. Probably they had a practice today. They didn't practice yesterday, but they're not ready to do it. They got a week. Or fall camp ends in a week on the 17th, so a week from maybe tomorrow, whatever that is. And by that really is a drop-dead date, because that's when they, in earnest, will start their preparation specifically for Miami. But Kenny Minchey is a really confident player. He's been in the program one more year than C.J. Carr, if you think about it. That does give him a little bit more experience. He has a slight amount more game experience, not much, though. He's a little bit better of a runner. And he's just real confident. He has great command. He's a leader on the team, and everything we're hearing is, I don't know if it's 50-50 right now, but it's probably much closer to that than everybody thought it was going to be.
It kind of reminds me to the situation in Texas, because I feel like we have talked for a year or better that, this is Riley Leonard's team this year, but you've got C.J. Carr in waiting. I don't feel like Minchey was really talked about all that much. Maybe behind the scenes, but I wasn't feeling it as much.
Well, Kenny Minchey was a 4-star recruit. I mean, and we always heard good things about him, and he is known for being a little bit more of a runner. We saw how much Mike Denbrock liked having a running quarterback last year. It creates a big advantage when you can run and throw. Of course, we all understand that dynamic in football. And Kenny Minchey came out and said he considers himself to be as good as any quarterback in the country. Now, he's a confident dude, right? But he's not. His teammates love him from everything we've heard. He's doing everything right. It's not a slam on C.J. Carr. And, of course, everybody knows about the first practice, right? C.J. Carr throws 3 interceptions in the first practice. And there's a good story that has a Fort Wayne angle about those 3 interceptions that looks like Adam knows what I'm going to say. But one of those interceptions was a terrible throw. I mean, it was just all on C.J. Carr, really bad play. Another one of those interceptions wasn't really C.J. Carr's fault. It was a perfectly thrown pass. K.K. Smith just didn't get it fielded, and it bounced off onto somebody else's hands. But it counts. It's an interception. But the third one was a tremendous play by a young man named Tay Johnson out of Snyder High School, my friend. And Northside. I am hearing, or right, exactly, Northside. Tay, I understand, is having a great camp. He had 2 interceptions in that first practice that the media was aware of, but I've heard that he also has had 2 more interceptions since then, and is one of the surprise players of the camp right now. Notre Dame's loaded in the secondary, and Mike Mickens, who's the coach there in that secondary, just keeps producing player after player, and expect to see him play some football this year with the Fort Wayne angle.
That will be fun to watch. Now, where do the Irish have their question marks? Where are the holes? Because, it was obviously a national runner-up a year ago, so you expect there would be holes. We know about the quarterback situation, but what's the rest of the lineup look like?
First of all, I think with the great depth of recruiting that Notre Dame has been engaged in the last few years, maybe not a ton of 5-star guys, but a slew of 4-star guys. It's not really a question of holes on this roster. We saw that last year as guys went down, and Notre Dame had a tremendous amount of injuries last year, but they kept plugging guys in. But the question is, do they have the talent to win a championship? This is a playoff caliber roster. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Better than Notre Dame has had from really the differences from player 22 in the depth chart down to about 48. That next group of players is really good. Notre Dame has always had good talent in their starting lineup. Okay, that's a given. So little question marks about that lineup. Defensive tackle. Are they championship level? I don't know. But they've got some players there. There's no doubt about that. And going into most years, I would say that there is in fact, I'll say it now anyway. I think their defensive tackle talent is as good as it's been in years. But that's an area you got to dominate. Can the wide receivers, Brett, can they really get the job done this year? They've brought in some more transfers. Jaden Greathouse came on and was tremendous in the playoffs last year. Of course, he's back. This Malachi Fields, though, looks like the real deal. He's the transfer from Virginia. There's really high hopes, but until those guys actually show it on the field and they show that they have tremendous depth, I think that's a question or an area of concern. There's no concerns about the running back situation. Losing Kedron Young to a knee injury the other day, a big disappointment to me, but he was going to be, at best, just a deep depth piece, honestly. I had the pleasure of interviewing him the other day. I'm really interested in him. The dude was 5'11", 245 pounds with great speed. He's a player. It wasn't probably going to happen this year, though. So they're okay there. The running back, of course, Jerry and Price, and a guy named Jeremiah Love. Aeneas,
I can't believe he's back. I'm shocked he's back.
Aeneas Williams, too, who really came on in the playoffs last year. He'll be the third down back. He's shown that as a great pass receiver and a good pass blocker. Linebacking core, defensive end, Bryce Young, Bubakar Traore, those guys are just top-notch. And there's Logan Thomas and Jordan Botello, who's hurt right now, but he'll be back probably by the end of September. They got it. Are they quite at that level to get them to where Ohio State was in the game last year and won the championship? That's the question. To be at that elite level that gets you the championship, I don't know. But
Judge, I've got to ask you about tight end. Tight end is always a position that seems to flourish at Notre Dame. Who plays tight end?
Yeah, and that's a good question. That's probably one I should have mentioned as one where it's not maybe elite, but Eli Raritan, the kid, 6'7", 245, runs like a wide receiver. And since he came in as a freshman, now in his third or fourth year, he's fought through some injuries. Everybody kept saying, man, this guy, if he ever arrives, he's going to be, he's All-American caliber. That's the name to watch, though. He played really well towards the end of last season. Eli Raritan. But, you got to have two or three tight ends. James Flanagan, who's a freshman, is having a really good camp. They expect him to maybe have an impact right away. So that's your tight end situation. They also brought in a transfer from Arkansas, who they actually thought they were bringing in as more of a blocking type tight end. And I feel horrible right now that his name is escaping me. But in any event, they brought him in, but I'm hearing that they're actually liking the way he's been catching the football, too, in practice. So that's your tight end situation. That probably is an area of a bit of concern. Is it championship level? I don't know.
Well, it's always a position, that Notre Dame is kind of known for, that different guys are always stepping up and being featured, highlighted, and utilized in that offense. Marcus Freeman. This might be the first year, Judge, that we don't ask what the expectations are and is he on a warm seat at all. I think finally he's cooled off his seat with last year's performance. Is it fair to say Marcus Freeman is the long-term coach now of Notre Dame?
Well, I of course it is. And after the run last year, but, will he ever – how long will it take him to exercise that the inexplicable losses that he has been a part of? And last season, Northern Illinois. I mean, Stanford. There's one the game against not Toledo, but the other MAC school that they lost to a couple seasons ago. Those concern me, but the run that they went on last year, you got that, and that was amazing, and that was impressive.
Did they lose to Marshall?
Marshall. That's
the game?
That's the game I'm thinking of. But, he is so beloved, and he has done so many right things to endear himself to Notre Dame Nation. maybe if Notre Dame doesn't do quite as well this year as they did last year, and he only wins 11 games, 12 games. He's not on the hot seat, but he's got to win the games he's supposed to win. That's for sure. And you can't afford too many more of those type of losses that are really inexplicable. And I think they learned a lot from that last year after coming off the Texas A&M game where they put everything into winning that game, the Texas A&M, the first game, and then suddenly they go into the next week and it's Northern Illinois. Well, Northern Illinois, that was their Super Bowl, and they came to play, and Notre Dame started slow and never did kick it in.
Does he go to the pros at some point? And if he does, when would that point be?
That's a great question. One that I asked my partner, Tim Priester, he was here this summer and spoke to the Notre Dame golf outing. And that was one of the questions I asked him when we were together at that. And he has some insight personally, talking to him. He thinks there's a chance that he might eventually want to go to the pros just to see if he can do it. He thinks he's not concerned, though, about going to another college from Notre Dame. Of course, the only one you would think he would even be interested in would be his alma mater, which is Ohio State. I don't know. He's got a good thing going. Coaching in the pros is obviously a lot different in the game today because you don't have to do the recruiting, which has become all-encompassing. And Marcus Freeman might want to, at some point, just see what it's like just to coach football and have a lot less concerns with the personnel issues. Leave that to somebody else.
A lot of new regulations. Not even sure what the right word is when you talk NIL. But we know very little about where Notre Dame exactly is when it comes to NIL. But we know they make money.
Well, they make money, and what we do know is that in this crazy world that the NCAA has gotten themselves into with college football, where there's more free agency in college football than there is in the NFL. There's no rules. You go anywhere you want, and you can make as much money as you want. But there are some guardrails that came in with the latest settlement. You can spend up to $25 million, but there are still real NIL deals that can occur on top of that. But what we do know about Notre Dame is committed 100% to spending as much as anybody else. And so that should make longtime Notre Dame fans happy. It makes me feel kind of icky in a way because I'm old school. I can remember, guys getting in trouble because somebody gave them $25, to go to their kids' birthday party.
It's changed so much, Judge. I was yelled at in an airport because I had a 2-for-1 deal at McDonald's on the McDouble.
There you go.
I only could eat one, so I asked the guys traveling with the team if anybody wanted an extra burger. And immediately got shut down by the coaches and told, throw it in the trash right away.
Isn't that something?
I had to throw away a 99-cent burger or whatever it was at the time. This is a few years ago.
Well, the pendulum, my friend, has swung in the other direction.
Yeah, those guys should be buying me my McDoubles now. That's what it's unbelievable, the money and how it's distributed. But the rules, the chaos around the rules that goes with it is also something that's almost hard to follow. And who gets the advantage, who gets a disadvantage. I almost feel like the way it is right now, Notre Dame may have gained an advantage because they've got the money, but now they can actually spend it. It can be up front. And if they make that commitment, they're going to be able to compete with anybody in the country. Because before, you had to worry about who was cheating. But now,
exactly correct.
On the up and up, and I think it evens the scale. And as long as Notre Dame is investing like everybody else is, as long as no one's breaking that system, and we all know that's probably a matter of time. But I feel like it's it's evened it out for Notre Dame.
It has. You're absolutely right. And I just saw a comment pop up here that I was exactly thinking, and I wanted to say it. It comes from Rick Longsworth about Steve Alford being suspended for appearing in a calendar for charity. And if anybody who's read Season on the Brink, I mean, Bob Knight was just about ready to lead a charge out of the NCAA and move to Canada or something with his team, and it was just that was the other side of that equation. He was in a charity calendar for to raise money for, I don't know, leukemia research or something that some sorority had done. And they took his picture among other people that are in that calendar. 1985 or 84 that happened. And
about that time, Judge, I'm surprised they weren't asking a young, handsome Phil Houck if he'd like to be in a calendar.
Mike, I wasn't always all that good at answering my voicemails and my opening my mail back in those days.
Missed your calling. Let's talk about the schedule. One way you don't lose those bad games is you don't play those types of teams. But Notre Dame has quite the start to the schedule. And Texas, we talked about Miami, but Texas A&M, I think, is a fun one to look at with new head coach Mike Elko taking over Texas A&M. That's somebody that Notre Dame has a lot of familiarity with.
Yeah, well, this schedule is very front-loaded for Notre Dame, and it's not just the first two games. It's the only preseason ranked teams on their schedule. Three of the first 6 teams, those are the ranked teams. You've got, as you said, the Miami game at Miami. Notre Dame it's good that Notre Dame then has a bye. They'll have another week to prepare for that second game, the rematch from last year, and this time it'll be at Notre Dame Stadium. That'll be the home opener for Notre Dame on the 13th of September. They're preseason ranked 21. Miami is preseason ranked number 10. Notre Dame will be favored to win both of those games. At least they are right now. 2.5-point favorites in the game at Miami. All Notre Dame really probably needs to do, though, to make the playoffs is to split those games, because the schedule does become a little more forgiving. The next, Purdue, I think Purdue is going to be better under their new regime, new players, much in the way that I'm not going to say it's going to be like what IU did last year, because that's not going to happen. But with all the new players that have come in there and the new spirit, they're going to be a little tougher. But that's probably not a concern for Notre Dame. At Arkansas, could be SEC crowd, all those things.
That's going to be a tough one. There's no doubt. It will be.
Arkansas has been waiting a long time, and then you get your next and only other ranked team on the entire schedule in Boise State. Boise State, a playoff team last year. Now, they lost a lot.
Yeah,
they lost a lot, but that's a solid program that has been good for a real long time. There's some other fun games that'll come up later in the season, including Notre Dame gets to face their Steve Angeli at Syracuse.
I think I recognize the comment that came in with that mention.
Well, that was a good reminder by somebody who's in the other room right now. And it's interesting another game that I find interesting, not just facing Steve Angeli in the next to last game. Syracuse was good last year too, by the way, but they lost a lot. But Steve Angeli, that's going to be interesting. But at Stanford to close the season. Now, Stanford, that's a program that's just in a world of hurt. They're trying to rebuild for the third time in the last 5-6 years. But their coach is Frank Reich.
Yeah, well, their general manager, who's
Andrew
running
Luck.
the football program, is Andrew Luck. Yeah.
It's Colts West, man.
Yes.
Although they, of course, both have Stanford ties. So I just think that's just kind of a crazy thing. Of course, USC will be good. They're not ranked preseason, but they probably should be.
Going to Pitt is no cakewalk either.
Never,
I mean, that's always a scary game, having to play Pitt at Pitt.
Always is. So, I mean, these are not – those games are not easy. You're right when you look at the schedule to say there's not a lot of things to phone in this time.
Yeah.
But overall, the strength I don't think is quite what it was last year, honestly. Or no, I shouldn't say that. It's stronger up front, but once you get past that, I think it's a little more likely that, they could get on a run again, just like they did last year.
Isn't that a little bit of a concern, though, having a front-loaded schedule when you still don't have a quarterback at this point?
It most certainly
Back
is.
where we started this whole conversation.
It most certainly is. And that's a great way to look at it, Brett. And maybe that's why they're just looking at a little bit more consistency right now out of Kenny Minchie and say maybe we can trust this guy a little bit more.
Who on that schedule at the beginning? I'm trying to think. Texas A&M, who they've got at quarterback. I don't know. I know Miami lost theirs. Cam Ward obviously is in Tennessee in the NFL.
Carson Beck.
Thinking, is it equal playing field where everybody else up there is also replacing a quarterback and maybe some coaching changes and different things? So
I can't tell. I was listening to another podcast today, and the Texas A&M that name. I don't have that name at my fingertips, but it's a really good dual threat quarterback that transferred in there. That Texas A&M will have a good quarterback, you know that. But Carson Beck in the first game, he missed his chance to go against Notre Dame, of course, in the Sugar Bowl last year because he was injured. So this will be his chance to right that wrong for, I'm sure, what he feels for the loss that Georgia suffered in that game. So that's certainly an interesting matchup, quarterback-wise.
Well, I did see some thoughts that maybe Carson Beck was cashing in and not really committed to on-field performance as much as Miami was hoping. So we'll see where that develops as they get closer to that.
Well, that's a good storyline that Notre Dame fans can hope for, right?
Something to follow. Judge, always appreciate you. Fighting Irish Preview back again. When can we expect to see or hear from Fighting Irish Preview, and how do we access you?
Well, the first game, 8/31, the last day of this month. That's a Sunday. That's the first game that Notre Dame plays this year in prime time on Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. And we're back on Saturday morning as we have been for 29 years. And it'll run twice on Saturday mornings again. Thank you, Mr. Rump, for working with me on that. This year, though, the timing will be a little bit different. Now, last year we ran when we added the second show, it was at 6:30, right, in the morning, which I go, that show probably I know it had a lot of listeners because a lot of people discovered that I was alive after 28 years on the air, that the show existed. But the second show, for a lot of reasons, is going to run at 8:30. So 6:30 and 8:30. So we'll have two runnings, a half hour each morning. You can look me up on Fighting Irish Preview. The content will pick up significantly. We've got a lot of good photography on there right now, but the photography's, or I should say that my personal content will pick up significantly now that the season's about to kick off. Usually I have 3 or 4 stories every week. So fightingirishpreview.com. We also do the YouTube thing just like you are now. In fact, I got a guy out there recording this right now. He's going to cut it all up and get your pretty face all over my own Fighting Irish Preview.
Oh, no, I know how editing works.
I was actually talking about Adam. But anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be real easy right now. You two are sitting next to each other. Somebody could edit this, and it'd be like I was never even in the show.
So fightingirishpreview.com and great. I want to thank all the great sponsorship that keeps coming back year after year, like the Notre Dame Federal Credit Unions and this year Miller Lite 50th anniversary. So they wanted to celebrate that as part of my show. And that'll be part of my sponsorship, and just a lot of great Indiana Physical Therapy, and I don't know, 8 or 9 others that are all been very loyal to me.
Well, we'll look forward to that. That again will start August 30th, twice in the mornings on 1380 The Fan, and of course you can catch the podcast. The website is fightingirishpreview.com.
Yep. Please go there. Subscribe. It costs you nothing. If you subscribe, though, you get a little reminder, which you're free to just delete really fast, but you get a reminder that new content is up every time. And so that's really easy. But if you really want to, you can go there and buy me a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, The funny thing is now everything that the word subscribe just automatically seems like it's attached to some kind of a monthly fee. And so, we're saying on this YouTube channel, be sure you subscribe. And we're not asking for money. We're just asking for somebody to click a button. That's all we're asking. So
that's it.
There's no obligation, no commitment. You're not going to get a whole bunch of emails. Your phone's not going to ring every day. But I mean, all we want is just a number that impresses the YouTube algorithm. That's it.
And if you like what you're hearing here, and you wouldn't like it maybe we're turning you off really bad, I don't know, but people are listening, and they are listening right now, and you'd probably just click us off immediately if you didn't like it. Subscribe.
Yep.
Lots of great content. I was in that group, and there was a big group, Mr. Rump, that wasn't happy about the radio show going away, but you found it. I always said you had a face made for radio, and here we go again.
And I'm proving it by doing this. Yeah,
you're fine. You're fine on YouTube. You're doing great.
I have worked for 3 months trying to figure out my best look. Whether and you know what? I will never have a best look. I'm finally committed to understanding that my best look was about 40 years ago.
Well, we become wise when we're comfortable in our own skin. So it sounds like you've become wise, and so have I hope.
And Judge, you look great, and it's good to see you in good health. Everything good from the health front. I know you had a health issue a couple of years ago.
I am
glad to see you.
I just hit my microphone, I think. No, I'm in great shape. I'm ready to go. I'm 3 years out from those health issues, and just ready to roar for Fighting Irish Preview for another year.
Appreciate you joining us on a Sunday night. I know we kept you a little long, and we appreciate that. Look forward to talking to you again, Judge.
Good talking to you guys.
Yep, that is
Bye, Judge.
Bill Houck joining us.